around about 10 o'clock and having a good sleep. We left Bowen a little earlier this morning. We're just coming around the Mackay bypass at the moment. Certainly going to be at the BP shortly. I think we might get a drink and keep heading south. It's a big day driving for us today. I want to thank Skipper Pete yesterday for his wonderful day out in the Hinchinbrook Channel and over on Orpheus Island. I think I said at some point we were at Kelly's Island. I don't know why I said that. We were on the, well, I think they call it the Yank pontoon. Yanks Jetty, there you go. And that's on Orpheus Island. Not near the resort. Apparently the resort don't welcome people, even if you're in distress. Go somewhere else. So we did see the resort from a distance. But what a beautiful part of the world, and thanks to Pete for showing us around yesterday. It did keep us, pardon me, on the road a little longer, but boy, was it worth every bit of it. There have been some noises this morning about the revaluation of currency around the world, and I'll just touch on it quickly just while we're driving through Mackay and I've got signal. Some of the stories that are coming out this morning are suggesting that for the US dollar to be taken off the mantle of you know, the global currency, a lot more countries and a lot more trade has to stop happening using it. At the moment, even with BRICS, they estimate that only 3% of the world is not trading in US dollars. So the US dollar is still very safe. Now, when the US dollar took over from the British pound, it didn't happen overnight. It took about 20 years for the pound to erode enough for the dollar to gain strength and become the dominant global currency. There are talks this morning that this is going to be the same this time round, take another 20 years for such a currency swap to happen. I don't think that people who are suggesting this are taking into account or necessarily placing any great faith in a global financial reset, a NESARA/JASARA kind of scenario, as many of us have been led to believe will be happening. And even as recently as over the weekend, I saw some international videos saying that it is definitely happening. You know, that they have now seen proof. They've been invited into meetings, had the whole thing explained. What nobody has been told, of course, is the bloody timing, and isn't that interesting? Timing is everything, I guess. We are a nation of 26 million, and it's, well, depending on how many of us we think are awake, and I reckon there's probably about less than 10 million really awake people in this country. It's going to take a little while to wake a few more up, unless we get some pretty big red pills from somewhere. Of course, there's talk of that happening too. You might have noticed they're ramping up the UFO talk a great deal. There have been a lot more sightings, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere. A lot more discussion about these things not coming from outer space, but coming from underwater. And there's plenty of video of them coming to and from the water. So that's something that is pretty, well, interesting, and have a look around for those videos. Of course, CGI is a marvellous thing. There are ways and means of telling that, but you've probably got to have some sophisticated software to do so, unless it's really poor. These days, of course, CGI is exceptionally good, and you've got to think that the people who are creating this sort of stuff, if it is CGI, are using the best gear there is available. I think I'm going to run out of service here any tick of the clock, and it might nearly be my turn to drive. So I'll love you and leave you for the time being. I do want to just mention the Cairns News. Now, I've had an article sent to me today from the Cairns News about The Voice, and it's relating to what Peter and the Liberal Party's stand is now on The Voice, and they're obviously opposing anything the Albanese government have put forward for it. That's good and bad. I think the Cairns Post article, or Cairns News article, I'll have to go back and look at the right name, raises a number of interesting points, and when I'm back home and set up again, I'll try and open a dialogue with the editor there, and we'll see if we can't get them on for a chat, because they raised some very, very good points. And in speaking with some folks yesterday and the day before, in fact, I've been speaking with some of our Indigenous people all the time. We've been in far north Queensland, and there is no support for the voice up here. Absolutely none. They understand what's going on. They're pretty confident that the government is doing this to help the government, not to help their people, and they're 100% right. So a little bit more explaining to be done, and I think we'll have a lot more of our northern brothers and sisters joining in the fight too. I can't see that people, once they hear from the people this will directly affect and how they won't support it, I can't see why a white fella would want to go along and ram it down their throats when they don't want it. Now, okay, I've only been in a very small part of the country. There are many, many people this affects in many, many different parts of the country. Now that I'm heading back to Brisbane, and once we're back there for a few days, I'll try and make contact with David Cole again. Lumpa has been out in country, I think, for at least a week or so, and he might have been back a little while we've been away. So with a little bit of luck, he will be available to catch up, and we'll have a bit of a discussion about how Aboriginal people are feeling about this and what his efforts are doing towards raising awareness about the voice and which way the vote should go. So that's a couple of things that we hope to get to before the end of this week. We are and have made some amazing friends in far north Queensland. I want to thank every one of you that took the time to come and meet Laura and myself and Chili. We have met an amazing group of staunch people up in Tolga. The girls up in Tolga, my God, you are a pack, you really are. And Eva in Cairns, who I was going to try and catch up with, we just ran out of time, Eva, I apologise, but she drove up from Cairns up to Tolga to come and meet us and have lunch that day. A lot of really interesting things, really, really interesting things about how people have been treated up here through the lockdown, heart and soul down past. So we need Tolga, in Mareeba, in Mount Molloy, in Port Douglas, in Daintree, in Palm Cove, in Cairns, in Gordonvale, in Ingham. Where else did we meet people on the way? Oh look, just about everywhere we stopped, we found someone who was interested in talking about the issues that we discuss here on the Voice of Freedom. I'm flattered that so many people actually recognise me. Maybe? Oh yes, we're back. Yes, all right. So yeah, only the dickheads we're finding lanes that they're happy to travel at 80 in a 100 zone until you get to an overtaking lane where they want to 20. Dickheads, they're everywhere.